Okay, by the end of this video, you can learn exactly how one paid advertising strategy can fill your agency's calendar with qualified, predictable sales calls of leads that actually have buying intent, and then how you can remove yourself from that process with a trained closer like we've been able to do for our agency, cracking consistent 8K deals, 10K plus days with this exact strategy that I'm going to walk through in this quick video. Like I said, the real objective of this video is for you to, one, understand whether your market actually has the buying power in order for a paid ad funnel to even work for your business. Two, whether your offer is actually validated on cold traffic or whether you're going to be stuck sending a ton of cold emails, cold SMS blasts for the rest of your life. Three, give you the whole overview of setting up this exact paid advertising strategy. And then four, what it looks like getting a closer in there as well. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Does your niche / your market matter when it comes to advertising on cold paid traffic? Okay, and the answer is of course yes. You ideally need a market that can allow to pay you at least really 3 to 4K up front. Your back end LTV minimum really like 5K plus, meaning for example you sign a client and duration of the time of them working with your service, they're going to pay you at least $5,000. This is very, very important because when you're running on paid ads, you are going to have, for example, cost per booked call. You're going to have your customer acquisition cost. You're obviously going to have your delivery cost as well as an agency. Maybe you've got a team. Obviously, nowadays, I suggest doing 99% of the work with AI. But regardless, there are costs that you're going to occur when acquiring clients. Okay, that's just the reality. If you want to be able to make this work at scale on cold traffic paid ads, there's a reason why your cold email, your cold SMS, your little Instagram DMs, your referrals burn out and they don't allow you to get to 20, 30, 50K per month as an agency owner. So you need to make it work on ads. Okay, so you need an offer that can sell for at least 3 to 4K up front. Now, the best way to sort of know this is hopefully watching this channel, you've already got sort of an agency, you've already got a few clients, and you'll know via your sales call data whether clients are really able to sort of pay you that 3 to 4K sort of price point. Okay, now the best metric to look at this really is your clients, so not yours, but your clients' net margin of each deal you get for them. Okay, every single company has a marketing budget. Okay, every single company, does cost analysis, and they understand that if they're paying you a certain amount, if they're paying you 4K, 5K, 6K over, for example, a 3-month period, what is going to be their returns? What is going to be their net profit? What is going to be their net margin? Because they have costs as well. Now, you don't want to go into a deal where, for example, your clients, so the deals that you get your clients, whether this is, for example, remodelers, whether this is, for example, generator installers, whether this is heat pump installer, whatever market or niche your agency's in, you don't want to go into a market where, for example, they get a 10K deal for every client that you get them, which is going to be the reason why they're buying into your service. If you're selling a nice to have, some crappy AI bot or whatever, I don't know what people sell some bad stuff nowadays, then they're never going to go with your service. It needs to be some sort of, okay, this is going to generate me an ROI. Okay, you don't want a market where, okay, they get a 10K deal, but really they're making, for example, 2K in net margin. Okay, meaning they're going to filter that into the buying decision. So you really, really want to have a market which is 50+% they're keeping net. Okay, now what you can do straight after this video to sort this, or find out whether your market is actually going to be validated on paid ads traffic, and it doesn't mean that you can't sell to markets or niches that have below a 50% net margin, but it just means it's going to be a little bit easier, right? Especially if you do want to validate a sort of higher ticket price point, which is going to be very, very important in order for you to have healthy, at least a 3 to 1, 4 to really 1 CAC to LTV ratio on paid ads. You don't want it very, very tight. If you're going for for example, more of like a 1K sort of price point, it's going to be very, very difficult to hit a lot of scale and be comfortable fronting ad dollars, right? So at least a 50% margin on paid ads. Okay, you can simply ask ChatGPT to figure out sub niches within your market that might have these margins. Okay, so for example, if you're in the contracting space, you can have a look at, there's a lot of good sub niches, but you can have a look at markets that you wouldn't even know of, like for example generator installers, right? I've got clients ripping 50K months in this market. I just tell everything on YouTube because I like to give value, okay? Or heat pump installations, right? You can go to chat, like pull it up on another tab on this video right now, and you can ask ChatGPT, hey, what are the net margins of generator installers? What are the net margins of heat pump installations? Compare that against your market, and you'll see very, very quickly. Now, of course, another big thing is that can you actually deliver a result to this market as well, okay? So once you've got a good market that can work on paid ads, you're all good there. So really, like I said, your LTV, so your lifetime value that this client is paying you is, of course, hopefully as high as possible, but really minimum 6 to 10K as an agency owner. So if you don't have this, then you just need to fix your delivery, okay? Upfront cash collected, so upfront CC, so the money that you're taking straight away, even before starting the service, is at least sort of 3K to 5K sort of minimum. The higher you can get this, the better, okay? And the way that you're going to do this is, of course, your offer, okay? So what you are selling to these clients in exchange for money, okay? Now, the reason why I'm going into all of this stuff before actually going into the tactics, the ads, what you should do, the creators, because this is the most important part. Like, so many people think it's the tactics. So many people think it's the button that we click on Meta to make sure. No, like, if you cannot sell at a high enough price point, if your clients don't have a good net margin, if you don't have a good LTV, there is no point you running ads. Simple as that. Okay, so you need to make sure this stuff works. Now, the best offers in the market right now that I'm seeing are sort of a 2 to 3 month setup offer going into some sort of retainer, right? Which is ideally sort of a longer term sort of contract, okay? Now, what this allows you to do is, one, sort of cash collect most of the LTV up front, right? Meaning, for example, instead of they paying a basic monthly retainer, you structure a deal where it's, hey, you know, it's, for example, 6K for 2 months working together for a setup fee, where we sort of set up the system, whether it's a Facebook ad system, whether it's a go high level system, whether it's, you know, you, for example, implement AI agents, whatever it is, you pay this up front, right? You model it out and you make the client very aware that, okay, month 1, we're sort of integrating it, we're testing out the system, and then month 2, we're starting to get some really, really good results into some sort of retainer, right? This is really, really the best way to do it. If you are currently stuck selling retainers right now, pivot your retainer offer, build a sales process, workflow out for selling this instead for a 2 to 3 month sort of upfront offer. Now, I'm going to go through very shortly why this is so important as well. Now, in terms of a full offer build out, I might save that for another YouTube video because I can go on for hours and hours and hours of how to position offer, the specific deliverables, etc., etc. I want to keep this very, very tangible towards what you clicked on this video for, which is understanding paid advertising at a very high level so you can replicate something like this within your agency, okay? So why this is so important to have that high ticket offer up front, right? Of course, when you're running paid ads, you're funding money into the Meta platform, okay? And they're spitting you out, not cash directly, they're spitting you out leads, so CPL, to sales calls, okay? And it's your job to obviously convert these sales calls. Right, obviously you're going to have a cost when it comes into this, whether it's you're optimizing your conversion event for lead or you're optimizing your conversion event for a scheduled booking, okay? Now, I'm going to infer that you watching this video, you already understand how ads work a little bit. Like, I don't need to baby you and, okay, this is the ads manager, this is this, okay? So I'm talking to you as if, you know, you've got some decent knowledge, but you've never really been able to kind of make it work, right? Now, when it comes to what you should be doing in terms of whether you should be an instant form or direct to a lead page, etc., it really depends on your ability of ad spend, okay? Now, of course, people watching this video, you're less successful, you're more successful, you've got more capital in the bank due to maybe past endeavors or the current agency that, you know, you're currently cash flowing. And the reason why this is so important is because you have to understand how Meta structures its advertising platform, okay? Meta wants you to win. Right? Meta, you know, you obviously invest into that platform. They receive dollars. Whatever you put your conversion event at, meaning, hey, Facebook, this is what I want out of this campaign. Every time they get that specific outcome, they deem that as a win. Therefore, you're going to spend more money on the advertising platform. Very, very simple to understand. Now, there's really 2 main funnels that you can run as an agency. I apologize for my handwriting. It's a little more difficult than I thought. Okay. Now, one is called a landing page. Okay, and another one is instant forms. Okay, so if you don't know what instant forms are, maybe I'll pop up, my editor can pop up a little bit of an example. Essentially, you swipe up, one of those that you've probably done a million times. You swipe up, you go to like a direct form instead of going to an external landing page where you can see a little bit more about details about the company, you can book a call, etc., etc. Now, what you go for based on different pros and cons, okay? Because there are different pros and cons, right? Now, the reason I say it depends on your ad spend is because, like I said, Facebook will optimize around this conversion event, okay? Now, when you are sending leads to, for example, a landing page, so it might be a landing page, you've got a headline, you've got a VSL, this is specifically what we run, right? But I'm going to tell you why, pros and cons based on your situation. You've got maybe a button to go to a type form, specific what we run, and then based on your questions, you get routed to a book call. Once that book call hits, that is the conversion event. Okay, so Facebook, okay, we've got an event, it'll optimize the cost. Okay, now, if your ad spend is below $200 a day, right? So you don't currently feel comfortable spending at least $200 a day, then my suggestion is starting with a lead instant form, okay? Especially if you've never run ads before. Now, the reason being, Facebook needs 30 conversions per week, okay? So write this down, 30 conversions a week in order to optimize a campaign. Now, when you're running towards a landing page, your costs are obviously going to be a lot higher than when you're running an instant form. Why? They go to an external page. The page takes time to load. They then got to go through your staff. They then click on, for example, a type form. They then go through the qualification process, which if you've got, for example, financial qualifiers and you've got all this friction involved in the funnel, obviously this is going to inflate your cost, right? So you will be looking at for any sort of qualified lead in your market, a 150 to really 250 cost per call. Okay, which it can even go higher if you're serving, for example, markets like coaches, you're serving markets like other agency owners, or you're going more high-end upmarket, SaaS, or any sort of really, really high upmarket B2B above 50K per month. Now, of course, if you're spending $200 per day, in theory, you're not even booking a call a day. Okay, so this is why, for example, if you're below $200 a day, okay, I suggest going for lead forms. Okay, now you've also got to filter in that you've got, for example, a campaign level. And the campaign might be spending $200 per day. Let's say if you do have $200 per day, like, okay, I want to go for instant form, but then you've got different ad creatives that have their own individual spend. You're not just going to run one ad, with zero testing, right? You're going to have ad 1, ad 2, ad 3, ad 4, ad 5, right? This is even if you're going for one ad set, right? So Facebook are going to take that $200 a day of spend that you've got, right? And they're going to start delegating it towards different ads. So maybe ad 1 is getting majority of spending $70 per day. Maybe ad 2 is spending $30 per day. And the other ones are getting barely any spend, $20, $20, etc., etc. The amount of times I've had clients that have like, hey, Luke, we've spent $400 on a campaign. Like, we haven't booked a call. I'm like, dude, like, each creative hasn't even spent your target KPI book call. It's not just about the campaign spend, it's about the individual creative spend. So you can start to see how, okay, even $200 a day doesn't really do much if you're running a landing page and you've got a funnel, okay? Now, then you might be thinking, wait, so like, why do people run landing pages? Why do you run a landing page and make 10K a day? What the heck? Like, are you lying to me? Should we be running landing page? And obviously, look, there are pros. Now, the pros of a landing page is that they are more qualified. Okay, they've seen your company, they're, a better lead, they've gone through that process, etc., etc. You also get better data collection points, okay? They're going to a web page, you're going to have a pixel on this web page, so you can retarget them a little bit more effectively. They've obviously gone through a qualification process, so a lot more qualified. Show rates are going to be a lot higher, right? We see anywhere, for example, between a 80 to 90% show rate. Obviously, our market is very tech savvy, so they understand how to show up to appointments. If you're in a contractor market, obviously it's going to be a little bit less, and your close rate will be higher, right? So there are a lot of pros. I'm not just shitting on landing pages. We run a landing page, but if you're more like intermediate, you're getting into running paid advertising, these are the reasons I don't suggest it. Now, you can get anywhere between a 30 to 40% close rate on when you run direct to a landing page, right? It can be very, very good. So these are the pros as well. If you have a little bit more capital behind you, if you can spend a little bit more, if you can reinvest into your agency a bit more, 100% go for it. Run a landing page. Optimal setup for this is, for example, let me just screw this out. You've got your headline, you've got your VSL, you've got your type form. So this is just direct application. You've got your app, and then you've got some results down here as well. The exact one that I run. If you might be watching this video, if you've seen a ton of my ads and stuff, you can just swipe up and almost funnel hack me. So that's for that. Okay. Now, if you're running instant form, so if you're sub $200 a day in spend, and you want to get pixel conversions very, very fast, and you want that to optimize very quickly, then I suggest you go for instant forms, you go for landing pages. Now, you go for instant forms. Now, with instant forms, you want to have a very, very good qualification process. Now, if you leave instant forms completely open, yeah, you can get a $5 to $9 CPL, right? Cost per lead, which, you know, to some of you guys, you're like, oh, that'd be fucking amazing. I can just spend $9 and get a lead. The reason why it's not so great is because if you just open it, so you have no questions, if you have no qualifying, you're going to get crap leads, okay? They're not going to pick up the phone. They're going to be really, really bad, okay? So what I suggest in terms of a sort of qualifying process is a 5-question process that I use for, honestly, majority of my clients in Pacific markets, ripping 50 to 100K months, right? 5-question process. 1, finding out the specific sub niche of the market, right? Now, if you're already in a sub niche, this is completely fine. You can just sort of like, can you confirm you are a, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever your market specifically is, right? A patio installer, right? Whatever it is. If you're a little bit more broad on the front end, for example, you just market to contractors, you can say, what specific contractor are you? Just make sure we're going 24 minutes in. Wow, fuck me. What specific are you? Okay, so you can do that. Number 2 is you can say what is your current revenue, right? Because you want to qualify based on this. Now, what I do for majority of clients is anywhere between 0 to 250K a year, we disqualify, okay? So meaning this, we have conditional logic and it ends the form. Now, this really depends on your market. Like, for example, if your market is pretty high in net margins, for example, if you go, if you serve other agency owners, if you serve SaaS companies, if you serve, you know, coaches or more info products, or sort of any solo sort of business owner, and they've got pretty decent margins, even at a six-figure a year level, and you have, for example, a 4 to 5K product, yeah, like you could probably sell them, but I would DQ if they're like below 50K per year, okay? Because you need to understand when Facebook gets a conversion, okay, they are optimizing more towards these specific people. So if you get a ton of broke people in your funnel, right, it's going to get what? More broke people, okay? So fantastic handwriting there, but it's going to get more broke people, okay? So you want to be able to DQ certain individuals, okay? Now, you can then ask how many jobs are you getting, or what is your, you know, something like this, like whatever your market sort of is, like how many estimates, how many jobs you sort of getting, right? And now you want to ask in question 4 a qualifying financial question, right, in terms of investment. Now, this really depends on how much you want to spike up your CPL cost, so your cost per lead. If you ask them very directly, hey, how much can you literally invest into this? Like, can you invest 5,000? Can you invest 10,000? Your CPL is going to rise a lot, right? Because it can scare some people away, etc., etc. Now, the pro is obviously you get better leads, but what I do suggest is sort of having an inverted question where you are asking it, but you're not asking it a way where you're like, how much money can you give me? How much money can you wire into my account, right? The way I like to do it is, how much marketing budget do you have, right? Because every sort of company does think about marketing budget, right? It's sort of a thing that just people think about. You have a marketing budget. Okay, going into next month, I'm going to spend 20,000 on paid advertising. I'm going to spend 30,000 on paid advertising. Here's my projections. Okay, so obviously, if they say they have a $0 sort of marketing budget, or like between like $2,000 a month, DQ. Okay, so again, DQ, end the page. What we're doing is almost like protecting a baby when we're collecting the data that our pixel is getting, okay? You want to make this as clean as possible. Even if it spikes up your CPL a little bit, you want to have a very, very clean pixel. So how much marketing budget do you have? And then based on this, you can route them obviously then into enter your name, enter your email, and your phone number as well, okay? And on an instant form, this is when it will trigger the conversion event. Okay, so this is where Facebook say, yeah, this person is a lead, right? Now, at the end of this, obviously, if they're qualified, meaning they earn 250K plus per year, they have a marketing budget, they're in your niche, they are a qualified individual, you then want to have an end page and a little bit of source here as well. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go subscribe, like this video, leave a comment if this is helpful. I'm going to be making much more YouTube videos like this. I've been so busy running my own business and scaling this that I haven't really thought about YouTube. You run your own end page. And for example, you could say at the end of the end page, you'll get called by a number, by X number with X area code. Okay? So they're kind of aware of the incoming call. Now, you've got to understand per funnel, and this is a long video, but just to keep this very more brief, you've got to understand per funnel what game you're playing. There is no doubt that with instant forms, you're playing the game of volume, and you're playing the game of having a really, really good setting team. If you do not have appointment setters that are hitting pipeline, that are following up, that have quick speed to lead, don't even bother running instant form. It's not for self-bookings, it's for calling leads, it's for dialing leads, it's for having a good pipeline process, it's for having good people in place. Really, really good salespeople. If you're below 10K per month, do it yourself. If you're above 10K, 20K, 30K per month, which I want on this channel, hopefully, if you're below 10K a month, click off this channel, don't watch this channel, okay? You'll get that's the game you're playing, right? If you're running direct to direct to application, you're just running to booked call, right? And that's kind of your game. Like we don't even have an appointment setter for our B2B process. We just run it directly to a closer's calendar. But if you are just running instant forms, you're going to need a really, really good setting team. Okay, so 2-3 setters on commission. Well, one really, really good setter, but if like, for example, they're doing something a little bit more part-time, if your company can't supplement a full-time income for them, you might need 2 setters in different time zones and sort of operating that. We have US-based setters that we can place inside of your company, but that can be a different conversation, okay? So that's the game you're playing. That is how you are going to win, okay? Now, with the back-end process for this, right? Once you've done this, you can also send them to self-book, but don't rely on self-booking so much. Like the leads that you're getting in from instant forms on your ads are going to be best hit up from your setters, okay? Now, how do you get a closer in order to kind of get rid of yourself within this process? Well, first of all, you need to close at least 10 clients on the offer that you currently have, okay? This isn't so needed. Like we had a client, we just staffed in a really, really good closer for him, and because it's B2B, the individual doesn't really care who you are. Like, for example, if you're running an info company, you probably need to be your closer for a little bit of a while because, like, they care about you. That's why they're buying. For this, they care about the offer. They care about the solution. They care about the product. So we had a client who's, like, he's just very introverted. He's, like, not a good salesperson. Like, you can just tell he's just not going to be great. Staffed in someone who's great and he can run from the get-go, okay? But ideally, like, if you're semi-competent at sales, you should close at least 10 clients with this process. Get sales call recordings for you to then onboard a closer into your process. Maybe I can make another video going over this exact system. So I noticed this video is going on for a little while. So just to recap exactly what you should do in order to get a 10K plus per day paid advertising system. Now, obviously no income claims, for example, that's going to take a little bit of ad spend. That's going to take a lot of process and optimizing. That isn't something you're going to run an instant form tomorrow or a landing page tomorrow and get good results. But hopefully it can just give you a better framing in order to how to actually set this up, because I see all the time people wasting 2-3 grand on ads because they just don't have the expertise and know how to do it, and then they say ads don't work, when in reality ads do work. Ads work for every single market. You're just not a great marketer. So like I said, ideally you've got an offer that you can sell for at least 4K plus upfront on cold traffic. Okay, it's a cold traffic offer, right? Your market has good net margin, right? So they can afford to pay your stuff, and obviously you can get results for them. That's just a given. Like, I didn't speak about this in this video, but obviously if you can't get results for your clients, don't deliver the thing, right? In terms of your ads, really depending on your ad spend, if you can spend $200 a day or $150 a day, maybe, you can go for a landing page and start ripping there. Or if you're sub that, so you can only spend like $80 to $100 per day, and you've got a market that isn't as tech savvy, so for example like medical or lawyers, or probably say lawyers you can run a good landing page, but like anything like contractors, etc., you can go for an instant form process, right? And you can have those questions in place, and you can start either calling yourself or getting commission only setters to set these leads and appointments. I love ads because it changed my entire business. You can run an ad and get someone that doesn't know before to pay 8 to 12K upfront. It's truly, truly powerful. And when you're able to master it, business becomes a lot easier. Obviously, it's not just the ad settings or the buttons. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it's about the whole process. Can you sell well? Can you, set leads very well? Is your pipeline management good? Do you have a good offer? Can you fulfill? And all the other metrics that make business tick. So I hope this was a very, very valuable video. I'm going to be doing at least 1 to 2 per week, breaking down the best paid advertising and sales team strategies. So subscribe, leave a like. I'll talk to you soon.